that was just to take a look at what is it there that we might become engaged with in the next year or 2 years or whatever. So that's when the thoughts started going. One of them, we went to about 20 different sites in 4 days, so busy crew. One of them was where we ended up here, which was, we stayed at a place called the Morrow Center, and there's also a church there, and a school, okay? And so we end up staying there, and a little about, I don't know, Joe, what do you think? 10 miles away maybe in Catalina, church called Santo Hombre de Jesus, and I think that's Man of Jesus, Man of Jesus, Man of God. And so this is our whole time, months ahead is all in the planning, coordinating with Michigan, Zoom calls, coordinating with the Dominican Development Group, putting everybody together, making sure everybody has passports, e-tickets, just got their stuff all together. And it went pretty flawlessly. We only lost Isaac once, and we found him. Actually, we never lost him. He never lost me. That was good. Okay, on to the next. So once we got there, this crew basically really took care of us. On the left is Beth Drew. She's a deacon from the Diocese of Upper Great Lakes, and managing. They put in all the money to buy this church, or not to buy it, but to fund it. $180,000, but a lot of that had been collected through Southwest Florida, up in Tampa, Sarasota. So she managed that. Makaya, right next to her, Sanibel, is the on-the-ground coordinator for Dominican Development Group. Mike Abraham is from South Carolina, is there a lot, so he was our on-ground construction manager. And Tiara, I can't begin to pronounce the rest of her name, but she's our interpreter. So, okay, on go. Anyhow, they greeted us. Morrow Center, where we stayed, is behind. Did we go, the first day we went over and looked at the property, did we, once we got there? I can't remember, first day or the next morning?
I think it was the first.
No, I don't think so, because we got there late.
We got there late?
It was dark.
Okay, we got there late, so off we took. So this is what basically greeted us. This would be the front of the church that we looked at and came into and just analyzing, so what is it we're getting into? Basic job that they talked to us about, we need you to paint this church. And we'll show you a bit more of it in a moment. But we need to paint this church, clean up the grounds a little bit, get ready for some landscaping and stuff. Okay. So.
Are most of the buildings concrete block? I'm seeing concrete block there.
Yes, they are.
That's typical construction material?
Typical construction.
Well, the industrial, churches and the like, we have some pictures of the neighborhood around. Most of those are just sheet metal.
Oh.
I don't know what's holding up the sheet metal, probably just the same lumber that the ladder and the scaffolding is made out of. There's trees that they cut down.
Yeah, and a lot of materials they can just find. You'll find that throughout the third world nations that a lot of it's just whatever materials you can find, and sheet metal and concrete blocks and stuff.
Construction sites, they don't have dumpsters to throw all the spare parts in. Every little spare piece of lumber gets reused.
Yeah, we can see crews sitting around, they're taking out all the nails, and I thought, whoa, this lumber just looks really bad. But they were getting ready to cover over the septic areas too and concrete that over. So they were using every bit of material they could find. So once they took inside and we looked, and I kind of took looking analysis of the church. It's about 25 by 50 feet off to the right. There are some other small rooms, restrooms and stuff like that. But anyhow, we walked in and they said, okay, you need to paint this. You need to prime it. And as we got on through the days, paint it twice more, and two-tone inside and outside. Okay, so.
Well, what's the floor?
Sorry.
Concrete.
Okay.
Everything there.
It's all poured.
And that last picture was from the entrance to the church. This is from the front of the church where the pulpit and everything would be.
But this was the end of the first day, maybe, because the walls. When we got there, none of the paint was out. We had I forget how many gallons, probably 60 gallons of paint that were in 5-gallon buckets and 1-gallon buckets. So Mike had gone out and got all the paint and the brushes. So it was great that everything was ready to go.
And great, we had strong young backs like Isaac to carry it out of the truck. Carry it out of the way. That's what he did. I have pictures of you too. I don't know whether they're here or not, but of coming in. Yeah, this would have been just as we were getting into this first.
At the end of the, I think it was the first
Yeah,
day.
it's at the end of the first day, okay.
That is the end of the day because you can see where the sun is coming through from the west.
Good observation.
There you go.
Good observation and everything. But you can see, it's just one long, rectangle. And it, like I said, about 25 or 50 feet. Everything is concrete. Ceilings, roof, everything.
And the ceiling's about 12 feet high, something like that.
Yeah, ceiling's 12 feet. So we'll look at that challenge in just a moment. Okay.
Will there actually be windows inserted, or are the openings just staying as openings?
We'll get to that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the video.
Look
This
at
is
that.
the video, yeah, and it had my great narration, but I'm gonna, whoops.
Let
Here, one.
me just, it's a little delay here. Hang on a sec. There we go.
And actually, what I was saying here, I said, the bishop, this is a Friday, and I think it must be Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And I said, the bishop is coming, the bees are buzzing. They're just everywhere, and you can see Doug is getting his shoulders tired already from, this is not an easy task.
Those are long poles.
Steve's over on the, 12-foot ceilings, yeah. So some ladder work. This guy sanded the whole roof. We didn't do any of that, but he sanded everything. And
Isaac and James sanded the outside.
Sanded the outside and top.
They did a lot of
Yeah,
sanding
they did a lot of stuff.
because the concrete
This is
ends up
one of
pretty hard.
our interpreter and one of the crew from Michigan over saying, hey, and that's the entrance to the church and the sanding and everything. Our construction manager there, he said, yep, everything's going good. And then we had a crew on the inside and a crew on the outside. This is my daughter Keely. She came from Iowa.
Nice.
Want to come on this trip? We've got Joe out doing that, and that's even higher. That would be higher than.
That's right. It goes another 4 feet.
Yeah,
up.
that another 4 feet. So we're up 16 feet. The columns present a problem, not to begin with, but simply because it's a different color. So it all had to be cut in and everything. And so what we're doing, I said, where's Isaac? There he is.
Isaac's up on the roof.
He's up there. He's way up there sanding and stuff like
Him
that.
and James did the roof duties.
Yeah, they were doing the roof and everything. This grounds here, we came is littered with concrete with just all different kinds of brush and trash and everything, and of course they don't want that when the bishop's coming later. So we were out there cleaning all of that and got it pretty well cleaned by the time he got there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. For service. He could only be there on a Saturday, and so, yep, this is the area. The other side of the church where you enter from the road where we entered all the time. There's Sarah out here doing her thing and helping the guys on the roof, painting the walls here. And so, let's see. So you can see that the outside it's a challenge just getting up there, but almost everything was painted with a roller, and when we had to trim it in, you took a big long pole with a roller and stuff like that, taped a paintbrush on it, and cut all the sides in. So it was, yeah. And of course we're interacting all the time with the local people. This is one of the construction managers. I said, "Are you getting down?" He says, oh yeah, brother, I'm down." So we're interacting all the time.
That's
Now,
the original church there, yeah.
This is what, when we were there 2 years ago, we found a space like this. In fact, this might be the original church, I think.
That's the original.
That's the original
The
church.
only change was that wall in the back was
Yeah.
added because they were putting a new cistern behind that wall.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're cleaning up the chairs for the bishop who's coming. Okay. So anyhow, and you can see all the people are up high and leaning over the edge. I tried one day to go up on the roof and I said, oh no, not at 80 years old, I'm not doing this. And but over the top, I actually just over the top like a little squirrel, it's easy. And Keely went over the top, and of course all those people. But so anyhow, on to the next one. It was at least you see a little action there. It always helps with that going on. When we got there, all of this stuff is piled up along, a side of the building. You can't really paint it. You can't do anything because everything is jumped up and that thing. Okay, so this area like this. This
That's
is the
what
way
it was
we
before we
found that. Yeah, this is the way we found that site. Of course, this is just the debris from construction and everything. So from forums, from all kinds of stuff. But they want this whole area to be, you know, landscaped. There's a trail that we'll see later on that they go out to that big tree. I forget what they said they were going to use that for out there, but at one time I thought they said something about scattering of ashes or something, but I couldn't.
The latest thing I think was the bishop was talking about wanting to put a kindergarten school out there.
Okay.
And he's just looking for some money now to build that kindergarten school.
Oh, okay.
We didn't talk to you about that, Jerry?
I talked to him about that. I only pledged $80,000 to him for, you know, that school, but no, we didn't. Anyhow, it's a pretty good space. I'd say it's 80 by 120 maybe or something like that. It's a pretty good area out there.
What did you say the pink structure is that we're looking at?
That's a house. That's a residential.
Just a private
Oh, yeah.
residence?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's one of the more substantial ones. The ones on the left were.
Oh, yeah. There was some, I have pictures and everything, but right on your left where all the lumber is, that's all housing right along there. So we were always, good morning.
Joe mentioned the tin. It's not big pieces of tin. It'll be a small piece, like 2 by 2, all of them somehow attached together. They just use at whatever they can find to make their homes.
Yeah.
Very poor neighborhood.
And it's just the way it is in pretty much all third world nations like that you find whatever materials and you don't waste anything. Many of us can remember our parents and stuff like that. We grew up, and my parents during the Depression, it's one of those things, you don't throw away any containers, you don't throw away anything much at all. You save everything and you repurpose everything you possibly can. Nails, bent nails, you straighten them and use them again. And that's what they do. Okay. So anyhow, this whole process, and you can jump on the next one too. This whole process of cleaning that was something we had to do. And we had to be really careful about, this is one of the greater tripping hazard areas that I have actually worked in.
Yeah.
And I think
that may not be OSHA approved
that may
right
not be
there.
OSHA approved, but there were 2 of these, you know, septic tank type things, and they were open for almost all the time we were there.
The last day.
And when you say, oh well, that's off at a distance, oh no, you've got about 2 feet or 3 feet to get around the edge of the building, and this thing's right here, and there's one right around the corner too. And so, not everybody will say, but a number of us took slight tumbles, you know. So, but
Acrobatic moves is what I call it.
acrobatic
What are
moves,
they?
tumble, fall and roll, you know, that sort of thing.
Fall and roll.
Isaac left us for a day and a half because he brought flu or something with him. I don't know. But anyhow, we had a nurse with us. She went and got, you know, medicine right away. So he only missed, what, a day and a half? Yeah, something like that.
So what is that going to be, Jerry? What is that eventually going to?
Sewage
Septic
disposal, septic.
So
That's
Yeah, cover.
so it's a holding tank.
yes.
Yeah, and then they've
Yeah.
got some pipe, I asked somebody, there's a pipe going down the road that they'll connect it to, I think, but this is kind of a settling tank.
So it'll be a settling tank, and then they'll
Yeah.
send the rest
Some of
of
it
the
goes
stuff
down
out.
Tank
There is
on
a
the
sewer
side, and then it
supposed
goes additional fluid to the other side, and then there's an outflow pipe that goes
Okay.
into a sewer pipe. We're not quite sure where the sewer pipe ends.
Yeah, we're not quite sure where the.
Hopefully not into the nearest creek.
Exactly.
Very well could be into the nearest creek, because there's no sewer treatment plants.
Well, if you walk down the street, at the end of the street, and unfortunately, we had trash to get rid of the other day, and Beth says, well, let's go get rid of the trash. And I thought we were throwing it in a dumpster or something, you know, as dumb as I was. And no, we just went over the hill and threw it down over the hill. And if you go and look at things, you know, in a distance, the mountains are there, all kinds of solar panels, it's green, it's beautiful. Trash everywhere, trash everywhere. A little creek running through the trash all down the edge of it. So we just threw our trash right over the bank. And that's typically the way it's done. So, and you want to think, when I've gone to a lot of places, I think, well, let's just clean this place up. But no, it's not. You don't do that. You walk beside the people and you work with them and work with what they see as important, because that's not seen as important or not practical to put your energy into. So if you clean the whole area up, within the month, it's going to look just exactly like it did before you cleaned it up, with no concern, you know. Or if there is concern, it's not enough concern to do it. But anyhow, there was another one of these right behind that church structure we saw. So there were 2 of them, and that only had this much space beside it too. So tripping hazard is hard.
The
Okay.
one behind the church, that other one,
That's a
is gonna
cistern.
become the new cistern for the water system.
Okay.
And that is, there's 2 tanks there, and that's gonna feed the bathroom and everything
Okay.
else, and pressure for water.
So in a hurry at the end of the day, okay, we have to get, these pews have to be gotten ready, and some of the ladies from Daughters of the King and, and the church structure, we're cleaning these up to get ready for the bishop to come. Everybody's working away in a lot of different places, but anyhow, they are, and you can see that we're getting some good work done, on the walls and getting things put up, so. Okay.
Doug still got his head towards the ceiling.
Yeah,
Does your head go down again?
Doug's still holding on the ceiling.
whole time it was like-
Need the chiropractor when you get home
Yeah.
to straighten things out?
A lot of drugs.
Oh yeah, we were taking a lot of Tylenol there, I tell you. Anyhow, our interpreter, Ciara, was interpreted the whole service, and this is our
Nice.
Bishop of the Dominican Republic, and we met him back in 24 also. He came and spent time and off to another place. Okay. So one of the things I've always liked the very best during all of these services, as we get toward the end, is the blessing of the children. And I've always, we go through the whole service, and then there are always a lot of kids at these services, and they're right in the service, right with everything. But there's always a blessing of the children.
Is-
Going on.
Is there a priest assigned to that congregation, or is it kind of
There
a
is.
move around from
He moves around. This
chapel
one-
to chapel?
Right, where we were staying over in Morrow Center, there's
Yeah.
a church right next to that one, and that one I think is a full-time priest for the Morrow Center and that
That's
church
him
and
on
the
back
school.
there, right behind
At the
it.
Oh,
altar?
there he is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's him at the altar. This one, I thought there was just a priest that was kind of a traveling priest because they had a very small congregation, but maybe they're gonna have a permanent one now. I don't know.
Well, the assignment of the priest is a problem sometimes. When we were there 2 years ago, they said, I won't tell you the language they used, but they were not pleased with that priest. So this gentleman in the back, and I've forgotten his name. I don't remember his name now, but anyhow, he's been assigned. He is priest of the church there. He's dean of the school, and he looks over the Morrow Center too. So it's a pretty, and the rectory is right on the grounds too, within that compound that he lives
Where
there.
we were staying, right?
So yeah,
Do you have pictures of where we were staying? Because that was very nice. I mean,
Yeah.
the Morrow Center.
I do not have pictures in here of it and everything too. So I should have, but I didn't.
'Cause that's always the worry you have when you go on these things is what kind
Yeah.
of place Jerry's gonna put you in. We slept inside the church last time and Sarah was right under the cross. We were worried that when we were in Asheville.
Oh, in North Carolina.
Right, yeah, right. But
Well, the Morrow Center 2 years ago, Doug and I can attest, looked awful. I mean, it was terrible. I don't think any of the toilets were working. They were black. They were, the paint was awful, and everything. No air conditioning, nothing like that. The water was off most of the time. Much better this time, but Keely and my daughter and I just began laughing after the first few. The first room we went into, the water was coming out of the light fixture over the bathroom, dripping onto the toilet. The light switch is behind the door through the lake of water that's on the floor. We said, I don't think this room is suitable, for
they had 15 rooms. I mean,
They had 15 rooms,
out
so-
there,
yeah. So anyhow, we bunked together, and that's good, father, daughter, and everything. I haven't seen her for a while. So anyhow, throughout the time, I rebooted the air conditioner 6 times. It didn't work, so most everybody's did. But it was about low 80s during the day, 70 at night. So it was just fine. We were fine like that. Water's only on a few hours of the day. And the hot water heaters, 2 of them, one's the bottom floor, one's the second floor.
took us a few days to realize there's a switch. You had to turn it on.
Yeah, the switch you turned on, it doesn't come on
Very nice.
automatically.
You had to
And
get
water-
early
Water goes off comes on at 7:30 in the morning. 7:30 in the morning.
whenever I turned it on.
Whenever, yeah. After a couple of days, and the water you turn on, you crawl into a crawl space and go around the corner and switch it up like that. And so when you turn the water on, and then they turn it off, and then in the afternoon when you come back, you turn it back on. And so if you don't jump in the shower quick, well then it's a mess. And our stool didn't have a seal in it, so there's no water. So pretty quickly we decided when the water's on, you fill up your trash can, to flush a stool. And I didn't realize how much I used a mirror, but there was no mirror in the bathroom. But I found one in the closet, hung it up, only one screw, so it hung that way the whole time. And we were just laughing and knowing how blessed we were, just to have what we have here, and to actually have those facilities, because knowing many people didn't even have it as good as we did. So anyhow,
the Morrow Center, when it was first built, was a really great place and stuff, but the problem was the Morrow brothers donated all the money to build this place and put it in the middle of nowhere, and nobody was using it. And so it just basically sat there. I've got a few pictures of the Morrow Center.
Oh, the old one,
we were there before.
Oh, yeah.
And it just basically sat there empty. And that was one of the places we were considering putting some time in to work on to rehab that, to be able to start using it for, trips like this.
and possibility of going back, and actually working. The school needs work. That whole grounds area needs work.
There's a school connected with this church.
The Morrow
The Morrow
the
Center.
Morrow
And
Sorry.
church. Yeah. So
the
it's
Morrow Center was used COVID.
You broke up, Sarah. You want to say that again?
We were the first group. So Morrow Center was used up until COVID. And then during COVID, of course, there were no groups coming through there. And afterwards, they had a hard time getting things started up. So that was the reason it wasn't being used. We were the first group to use the Morrow Center going forward. And so they're hoping to have at least
That's
one
cool.
or two groups per
There's some pictures of the
per
school.
month.
So, kindergarten and
yeah.
It's a primary school.
No, it's not.
No, we work hard.
No. 2-year-old through
Right,
18.
this is the chapel, and the Michigan group brought lots of coloring books and crayons to give to the children. So the first day they gave out a few, and of course the word spread. So the next day, all these kids came asking for more books, and they never asked for crayons. They always asked for books.
That's the chapel.
Yeah.
That's part
And
of the
that was quite
school.
popular.
It's
If
school compound is over
you wouldn't
here.
you'd see some children,
Sort of
not
like
lots, but once you
kindergarten
started
area in the back.
handing out things like that, they just came out of the cracks. I mean, it was just, people would just congregate. And that's when we started getting to, to make the friendships, getting to know people in the community. Okay, so.
So take more coloring books, I think, is the key for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my daughter Keely. This little girl, once we started handing out the prayer dolls from Janet Bendel used to make those prayer dolls. I still had 60 of them. I took 30 with me. She didn't get one the first day, and she trailed us till, she just kept asking Keely, my doll, that sort of thing. Okay, next. So anyhow, little guy, kids you meet on the street, and hand them a little doll, and those things they just get really attached to, that sort of thing. So, and I don't know how old this one is, but anyhow, she was something. Got her bottle, got her doll, right? She's good. Okay, now as you wander through the neighborhood, we found kids playing basketball. Of course, there's no net. That ball will barely bounce. So they have.
That's your excuse, and you're sticking to it.
Yeah. Isaac seemed to think it worked better, but I thought this ball doesn't work real good. I don't know what's wrong with it. Okay, but anyhow, they were down at the end of the street, and you can see some of the other things in construction, seeing all the everything goes up with the blocks and stuff like that. And it's all plastered. This is what the church of Santa Hombre would have looked like in its beginning stages before they plastered it. So, knowing that there aren't many balls around, we were out getting plants and stuff like that. So we picked up a bunch of balls. This lady, I don't know what her position is in the church, but obviously she probably ran things pretty strong.
Like
So
Sue.
yeah, she would. This is what I mean. Of course, she gets around on her motorbike, which everywhere. You go to bed at night, you hear those all night long. They're just going every which way. So we asked, okay, soccer balls? No, we don't play soccer here, or we don't play football here. We do volleyball, and we do baseball and basketball, pretty much. So we bought volleyballs, and you can see basketballs over on the side, stuff like that. So, and I said, we pass them out. She, oh no, you cause a riot in the community. give them to the church and they'll check them out for a period of time. Anyhow, moving on, as we go back at night, these ladies really took care of us. I mean, these are daughters of the king, okay? And the lady here in the middle is the one who controls pretty much everything, yeah. So, but and the priest is on the left over there. They would greet us.
I was going to say, is that gentleman on the left?
Green Bay Packers there, huh?
Yeah. Packers, yeah. I said, be sure and wear your Packers shirt for when we get back.
Well, he's the priest, right?
He's the priest.
He was in the robes. And then
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the priest.
Good for him.
So 3 meals a day. I mean, everything. We'd get up in the morning, have breakfast at 8 o'clock, I think,
Right.
and we would be on site at 9 or so. But anyhow, these great ladies are all in the kitchen cooking. Fortunately, which you don't see a lot of times, we were able to come back for lunch. A lot of times, a lot of sites, you have to pack your lunch and coolers and all that sort of thing. This would have been difficult having ice and to do all that. But anyway, we came back for lunch, got back there, and came back for dinner. I gained only 7 pounds during this trip. I lost it in a week, but anyhow, there's so much, they fed you so well. And cheerful and laughing, and okay, Bill, next slide. Can you see?
There it is. It worked.
Okay, there we go. So, here we are. Sarah, there you are. You are doing up good. So, every night we had, we're singing, and we're talking, we're singing, we're praying, we're doing all sorts of things. So, we're having a good time.
What's the other woman playing?
Shh.
Pete, what was the board? It was
So she was trying to teach me the exact rhythm to play on the tambourine, so she had someone go get a board from the kitchen so that she could hold it and show me how to do the rhythm.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So we had a nice eating area, a nice space.
Well, this is the eating area.
Yeah.
So it was very nice. It had fans.
Oh yeah, and I tried to get everybody else to dance, but nobody, that's
There is a dancing machine.
Yeah.
After all that work, you still got energy to dance, huh, Jerry?
Oh yeah.
Every trip I've been on with Jerry, he's always dancing something.
Dancing
There's something
somewhere.
in this.
And we talked about school next door. These are the kids, and they explained they start at 2 years old. Okay, that's preschool. I mean, in there. I don't know how old these were. Maybe 2 or 3, maybe something like this. And this little kid, you can tell he needed some medicine or something. I don't know. Anyhow, you could not slow that one down, boy. And he was all over the place. Then it goes up to 18 through graduation. Yeah, up through high school and everything.
Nice.
So, and that school has, as I understood, when he came there were only a couple hundred or something like that. And their projection is to get it up to 400 now. And so we actually, through outreach, we sponsor students in Dominican Republic, a couple of them. So I asked the group, can we switch? And Doug and I talked about it with Christy, the head of Dominican Development Group, Christy Wallace. Christy, by the way, was planning to be there, couldn't be there. She had a sick relative, and she got there the last 2 days. But we did sit down and say, can we switch our scholarships to this school? Okay, yeah. And we did, okay. And we had another donation that we're able to do 4 scholarships now at the school, and they're trying to expand it up and build on. This is after a few days, which community groups came in and everything. You saw in the beginning all the trash and everything up the side of the building. This is the area that you're talking about maybe putting in a preschool or something out to the end. So this area is all cleared for getting ready to plant. And like Doug said, that pink building is one of the nicer ones you'll see. That's the nicest one we saw in the whole neighborhood. Because and there are a number of buildings around. The one over here is in construction. It's like abandoned and in construction. I never saw in any of those buildings that under construction, I never saw anybody around them working on it. So
Well, I think what they do in all those buildings is when you make enough money that you can buy 1 or 2 cinder blocks, then you put the 1 or 2 cinder blocks in, and these things just slowly inch their ways up over months and years.
Yeah, there is no going to the bank and getting a loan, finishing it all, that sort of thing. And that's kind of the way it is across the world, that way too. You build so far, and then when you get the money again, you keep on going. So starting to put the plants in, you can see the chickens are enjoying it, around like that. Well, It'll be a project getting landscaping the whole area because we went out and bought maybe 50 plants, but
Is that an irrigation system?
it is not. You would think it would be, but not.
It's a line of where to put the plants.
Yeah, that was our,
That's the
Oh, okay,
plans.
it's just a marker.
it's a marker for the path.
It's a marker for the path.
So
Yeah.
when it came out and said where
Marker
they
for the
wanted it,
path.
and then
This is our construction manager saying, "Hey, look, side of the building's done."
Hmm?
We got toward the end. They said, "Oh yeah, now we need to paint these cross pieces and everything dark orange." And I go, "Oh Lord!" And so we ended up painting that building 3 times, and you can see the ceiling is white here. The everything down below is that yellow color, right? Those columns I don't think need to be painted again. No, anyhow. And so we pretty well, but so it's primed and painted twice in that 4 or 5 days we were there. So a lot of crew, I'd say we had a crew of 15 maybe, and working on that. We didn't do this, but these are the windows you saw looking out of and everything. The day or 2 after we quit, because we went back on Wednesday just before we left,
Right.
and we were astonished that all these windows were in, all these louvered windows. And I'm assuming there will be no air conditioning of any kind, and some of the churches do have air conditioning. These don't. They're louvered windows, and that's what was in our rooms at the Morrow Center.
Yeah,
So
we had air
there's no
conditioning.
glass in those things, it's just.
Yeah, no glass.
Louvers and a screen.
Yeah,
So we had air conditioning, but the windows, there were no windows, it was just the louvers, so it was.
yeah. It's a screen across so the bugs and
Right,
stuff
the
can't
bugs-
get in.
Yeah, the bugs
but,
can't come in.
yeah,
Bugs
that
a
sort of thing.
problem?
But the old church had open sides,
Not really.
open sides, a tin roof. And so this is just amazingly new.
It was actually quite, because in my room, I had windows on 2 different walls, and in the last few days that I was there, I just opened the windows up at night.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I just opened the louvers up, because they don't keep any of the noise out, so you must have.
Yeah.
And we got a nice breeze, it was extremely comfortable, you didn't even have the air conditioning.
before this slide goes away,
White noise.
we weren't here when this was done either, but within the week after we left, they roughed in the tile and everything. So that was on. Back when we was talking about at nighttime, with those open, what you would, motorcycles racing all night, a lot of times music. It was the Super Bowl when we were there.
Right.
That music went on till 2 in the morning or something like that, so it was hard. Portico out front. Remember the first picture you saw when we walked in of all that jumble of the front of the church? Within 2 weeks after we left, they had this all in place.
And
So,
this work was done by a contractor crew or congregants or?
yeah, no, contractor.
Well, there was,
crew.
yeah, there was a manager, I don't know who he had working for him, whether they were
Okay.
local
Yeah.
guys, but,
They had an architect that was there a lot and off and on. So, and all of these things are concrete.
yeah.
So it transformed from what you saw in the very beginning to this at the entrance to the church. And so they're making great progress, but they're keeping a real, Beth Drew from Michigan, she's keeping a real tight rein on the money. They had spent like $140,000 out of $180,000 already. So Keeley wrote on the side, Amore. So this is probably, I think this is the last slide. Anyhow, we were there in love, okay? And we just went and walked in and said, okay, what is it that what is it we can do for you? We're not telling you what to do, just what is it we can do, and how is it we can walk beside you and help you in this? We paid a materials fee out of here, and it was donated by a parishioner of about $400 each. So that would have put in, there were 7 of us, so close to $3,000. That went, I'm sure, there was so much paint to be bought and materials and supplies like that. So we paid for a lot of little miscellaneous stuff that would have helped. So any money that they could put into that was good.
Right.
So all in all, as we look back at the trip, you never know what's going to come up. You just have to be ready for the unexpected all the time, and just be there to do what they need done. And what they needed done was paint that church so they could move on with other projects and stuff. So it turned out good, and we everybody just jumped right in and did whatever was asked, and it all happened, and everybody got back safely. And so people who were on the trip, all you guys and everything, your thoughts, I mean, about what...
I was very impressed with the Dominican Development Group. I mean, the leaders they had on site that live there, so Micaiah and then Mike, it was great because everything was so well organized when we got there on Friday morning. I mean, he had bought all the stuff and he was very laid back. It wasn't like, well, let's get out and do this. We saw one picture that that was kind of what he did the whole time. He didn't do a lot of real work, but I mean, he was directing and he was there to answer the questions, but they were very well prepared. They knew we were coming, obviously, but he wasn't quite sure who he was going to get and how fast they were going to go. So he hadn't really set a lot of expectations on, okay, are they going to get all the painting done? Are they going to get one coat? But as we moved forward, he basically kept up. And, and then also, I guess the one point about the Morrow Center, I think most people working at the Morrow Center were volunteers, is the way I understand it.
Yeah,
So
I don't think there's any paid
all
people.
those people you showed, we paid some money so they could buy the food, but I mean, the congregation really gets together to host the people coming in.
And I don't know that we pay a fee to go, about $500, I think. $500 for food, lodging, and transportation within the country. And who knows, some of the materials fee we paid could have, I don't know how it all gets divvied out, but anyhow, it gets spread out to pay the expenses. And we had
efficiency. I mean, as far as the other places in Cuba and other places I've gone to, I mean, I thought they really got a lot done for what, you know, sometimes you come in, you stand around a lot and you're looking at what to do. We worked hard the whole time we were there, and we got a lot done. I mean, we painted the inside and the outside and the ceiling, and nobody was really ever sitting down.
No.
So, very impressive.
Someone's falling down, but I mean, you know, but otherwise, you know, that sort of thing. It was impressive that, you know, not only do we never know what we're doing when we walk into a situation like this, they don't know what they're getting.
Right.
And I have a whole form I send them. I survey everybody in about 15 different skills, and we rate ourselves from 0 to 4.
Right.
This is what we can do, you know, and I think by far the highest rating was painting, you know, that sort of thing. So, but that's what they needed done. But when you walk into a place like this, you never know, and there are things you'd like to see done, you know, or things that I could be better at doing. But that's what they wanted, was painting, and that's what they needed, and that's what we did. And some landscaping.
Well, as you were leaving, is there another crew coming in now right on your heels?
No, there's a crew that came ahead of us but didn't come to the Morrow Center. They are building all the furniture. Now, when they say building the furniture, I never knew whether they meant building the furniture or putting it together from, you know, in a kit that you got somewhere. But anyhow, they were doing that not on site. They were doing it back in San Domingo. I think they'd be staying at the other center there and building that furniture. And they were coming back 2 weeks ago. They were coming 2 weeks after we left. They were coming, and I assumed they'd make the trip up and put all this stuff in. But I haven't seen pictures of it yet. No, they're coming. They were coming 2 weeks, and we've been back a month about. So yeah, it should be. They had half of it done already, and they were going to do the rest. Those old pews you saw us putting in place, those they won't be discarded.
They'll go to another church.
They'll go to another church. They'll go somewhere, but they'll be repurposed for something. But anyhow, that was it's impressive, and you just kind of have to lay yourself out and
As you interacted with the neighbors, did you get any sense of the feelings about the church being one of the nicer buildings in the whole neighborhood? I'm imagining myself as somebody who's picking up pieces of tin in order to shore up my house, and looking next door and seeing what is probably one of the nicer buildings in the whole neighborhood, being the church. Did you get any sense of people's feelings around that?
I did.
When we came there, and we had the church service, there were so many people from the neighborhood that came to the service, and they were just so grateful and happy to finally be in the building. It was the first time that they could be in the building.
Yeah.
So they were very happy about that. They came around every day. Some of them came into the site, some just looked from the outside as to what was going on, but there was a lot of interest to see that, because that small building that I said was a chapel, and we talked about, that's where they had been having church, and then there was one small bathroom outside of that was in operating order. So they had all been coming, but they filled that church on the day that the bishop was there.
Yeah.
So I think they're very happy, and they're looking forward to have a gathering place that they could all be together in comfort and worship.
Nice.
And I think also it won't be just the church. It's a community center, and you know, like gave the lady the volleyballs and basketballs. You know, check out things for things, and a hurricane shelter.
Right.
This is the strongest
substantial building in the neighborhood. So.
Yeah, most substantial. It's all concrete. It's the most substantial in the neighborhood.
To your question, Bill, my experience in Haiti and Thailand is, well, is there resentment that the church or the temple is the nicest place down there? No, that it should be.
Yeah. It should be. Yeah.
So they're proud of that.
Yeah.
They're proud of it. Yeah, I think it brings pride to the neighborhood.
And it's only 30 feet that separates 30 or 40 feet that separates the church from the house across the street. So I mean, we are looking, you know, it's just right in that, it's just nestled right in the neighborhood. It's sort of there as an integral part of that neighborhood. And no, everybody was friendly, smiling to us, and I always felt safe. You know, I wouldn't wander around and go painting over there at nighttime, you know, something like that. But when we were there and all the stuff we were doing, we felt safe.
What do people do for work? Do you get a sense of what they're doing to make an income?
I can't tell. You saw lots of men around during the day, riding on motorbikes, walking, that sort of thing. So either they worked at different hours, or they didn't work, or
they would drive trucks around with loudspeakers selling like chickens, fruit. That type of thing.
You always see those coming down the street. You hear the loudspeaker coming, and he's got the whole back of a truck full of vegetables, all kinds of everything you can imagine.
Kind of a portable market.
It's a portable
They're
market on wheels.
driving around.
It's a market on wheels. Yeah.
I imagine they drove into San Domingo or somewhere otherwise, because there wasn't anything really to work around. There were some big buildings though on the main highway.
Yeah.
So there may have been some industrial type jobs or construction jobs.
There's a lot, and Bonnie, the town province we were in, is more of an industrial area. So I'm sure there are a lot of jobs there. You saw quite a bit of construction going on, and so there's lots of hands-on construction going on. But we did it, you know, and the stores and everything in the area. One thing was, how much time do we have? Oh, we're good. When we went shopping, he says, "What do you want to go to the bigger store here, or do you want to go to a China store?" And I said, "A China store?" And he says, "Yeah, they everything you'd ever want. It's like a Walmart or something like that. And anything you'd ever want, they just bring it in containers and, you know, everything. Nice stores and everything, but they're all Chinese." And even in one of them I went to, it wasn't Latin music, it was Chinese.
We went to the hardware store. When we went to the grocery store, I think it was the second night there, just so people could pick up things if they needed cosmetics or whatever else. But there was a hardware store next door, and we needed something for the pump or something, because one of the reasons they turned the water off and on was he was missing a valve. So Mike and I went into the hardware store, and it was just like a Home Depot, but every tool in there was a Chinese tool. I mean, you could always the names and everything. It was a beautiful store. I mean, a lot cleaner than Home Depot, a lot more gadgets, so they could get. That's the one thing. Cuba, you never saw any stores like that. I mean, it was all behind the scenes or something. But here, I mean, they have some very nice places where you can buy food and buy anything you wanted.
And this is where I got the basketballs and volleyballs.
Yeah.
In that store too, because they had all that. It was just a huge big box store. I mean, it was just no frills about it, but lots and lots of merchandise. And the grocery store.
But I would say the people with whom we were working and serving, they are not shopping at those stores. First, they have no way to get to those stores except to walk.
True.
And it's long ways, and they don't have the money. It was obvious that it was not the people with whom we were working.
No.
Going to
I think it would more
To give
be,
you an idea, especially the work construction, on that church, everything was completely done by hand. There was no concrete mixers, there was no lift trucks or anything else like that.
Yeah.
Everything was completely done by hand. All the concrete was mixed by hand on the ground. If you look at those beams that are in there, those are all poured beams. They actually have made up the steel, the structure, the rebar, and everything else, and they poured everything by hand. Everything was lifted up with buckets and poured completely by hand there.
yeah, no conveyors, no,
No, nothing.
That's all muscles. They had a very classy or.
And is that local labor? Are they hiring local labor to do that?
Yeah, I mean,
that kind of
they-
work?
They made a decision, the diocese made a decision, because originally we were looking at this, we thought that, there might be more construction by people coming in, but the diocese made, I think, a very smart decision. They said the main structure of the building has to be done by more professional people, local contractors that are here to do that.
yeah.
In order to do the heavy work, and they had the architect there to get this stuff all certified, basically, for hurricanes and stuff like that. It is gonna be the strongest building in that community.
I think over the period of time I've noticed we probably had 8 or 10 people from the community. I don't, and some of them weren't church members either coming in. The 2 young guys that came and were doing a lot of cleanup and stuff, and they helped paint, they helped do a lot of stuff. And I said, are they paid? No, they just came to help. Some kids, came to help carry lumber and that sort of thing. And ladies came in and helped paint, I couldn't distinguish whether they were church members or whether just community members coming in.
But the interesting thing was also.
Those young men came because they wanted to flirt with Tiara. They were looking for someone, that it could help move them.
Probably true, but the interesting thing, in the church service, there were no men at the church service.
Really?
Just women and kids. No men come
It was
to
a
the
couple
church.
It was very.
Like, very, very few.
Very, very
Basically, they are not as supportive, like, physically being present.
Right.
In the church.
When 2 years ago when we were there, same thing that happened. When they greeted us, we came on a Saturday, so they brought probably the Daughters of the King, like we were before. They came in, there were maybe 8 or 10 of them, no men,
All women.
all women, yeah. But you don't, around that time, you see the women and stuff, when church service comes, there are lots of children there. There was a lot, and it would drive most people crazy, but they're crying, they're crawling under the chairs, they're playing, they're doing a lot of stuff. When it comes time for that blessing, they get really serious. I mean, they are all lined up, they are all, very respectful, and then the bishop is blessing them. And I think that happens did that happen on Sunday morning, where there's a blessing of the children also? I know.
I think so.
Yeah. Joe and Sarah went to Sunday morning service at
The Moral Center.
San Mateus, San Mateus, and we split. And Doug and I, Isaac, you were still sick then, I think. We all went back and painted that church one more time on a Sunday morning till afternoon sometime. And so went back. McKay and Mike and about 7 of us went back and painted that whole church one more time on that. But that blessing is pretty much, it's pretty inspiring to see those young children there.
Yeah, they filled the church up on Sunday morning, and it was pretty much even men and women in that one.
Was it that one? It was San Mateus, right?
Yeah, in the San Mateo.
Okay. Isaac, your thoughts? I mean,
I thought it was a really cool experience. I never
Yeah.
thought I'd do something like that. And I would definitely go back and help out again.
yeah.
That opportunity.
And since you're going in the construction field, this was really interesting
Yeah.
to look at, right?
It was, it wasn't the work I thought we'd be doing, but we still painted a lot, and I've done a lot of that, so.
I thought we'd be doing it just a little bit more and spread out in little areas, but
Yeah.
it's just what they needed.
What Jerry said before at the very beginning, the whole key to these trips and the success of these trips is you just have to be very, very flexible. And you never know what you're going to be doing, and what you think you're going to be doing is often not what you're doing at all. Like this trip, which was completely different than what we had, at least what Jerry and I were thinking we were going to be doing in this church. Totally different than what we expected.
And Doug and I have been on what, 6 or 7 trips? 6 trips probably together. Yeah, everywhere from.
I've been on about 10 trips total. It's always the same thing. No
Yeah.
matter where you are in the world, it's always the same thing. You
Always
have to
same
be
thing.
Extremely flexible and just do what needs to be done, and your living spaces, everything else like that can be tremendously variable.
And just don't project your feelings on when you get there.
So did you carry a lot of tools with you that you didn't use, or you didn't take any tools?
Nothing this time.
None.
Yeah, okay.
I carried a couple multi-tools or, some pocket knife, that sort of thing. Those things come in handy, but they said, no, you won't need it. We'll supply every tool you need, which is unique in going, because a lot of places they won't have the tools. And the materials thing we paid for, when he had to go to the hardware store and pick up extra stuff, and we had, and if something broke or he needed that, more rollers, more paint supplies, I'm sure we paid for all of that. But basically the church is paid for through the Diocese of the Great Lakes. And Beth Drew she was, every night she disappeared, she was working books and figures and figuring out how to manage it all from above. She was keeping a tight rein on the contractors and how they spent their money, which is good, big oversight. They did say that they weren't pleased with the priest that was at the new church, and they would have some conversations, and the next time we came, that priest would probably have been shifted to some other church. Because a brand new church, that priest was fairly close to us, never came once to an evening session or a meal or anything we had. It was just the priest at the Memorial Center that took care of us the whole time. But the priest of the church we worked on never came and sat and talked with us at all. And so Beth was really, we were having conversations with the bishop, and we'll get somebody in like we have at San Mateo, so that they will run this church well and take care of it. That's a big problem there, is once you come in and put something in like this, it's not maintained. And if you don't have people, and you know that from Cuba, all the places you've been and every place you've been, it's just not maintained because they don't have the structure in place to do it. And that's what Beth was really working on. We need the structure to make sure that all of this is going to be taken care of and maintained. Actually, we're demanding you do that, basically.
Yeah, I think she was saying in her budget, she actually had budgeted for 5 years of maintenance. So she's actually got more money to have them make sure that at least get something in place for 5 years to make sure that thing just doesn't fall apart, which is good planning.
Well, yeah, because part of the problem is they don't have the resources to maintain it.
Right.
So that's foresight to say, we'll put this money in place.
So then they gotta hire a contractor or somebody to?
Don't know how they're gonna, that DDG is there all the time, so I'm sure that Mike and Micaiah will oversee some of that, and they'll probably get some local people there, and hopefully the community to actually do whatever needs to be done to keep it, like it is now.
Yeah. These things are happening over in the Dominican Republic. The people up in Tampa, Sarasota, what's the church? Redeemer, right?
Redeemer in Sarasota.
They have Dominican Development Group has been in there for 20 some years. They've been in Dominican Republic and have built a number of churches and centers and things like that. So they've funneled a lot of money. Dominican Development Group is supported all the way from, obviously Michigan, all the East Coast and down through Florida. But Southwest Florida has been really strong in supporting that group too. And our bishop, is involved with that. And so they've done a nice job. Any other questions you might have?
Anybody still on the Zoom have any questions?
Or any final comments from our group, we pretty well commented through the whole thing. And Steve, are you still on?
I'm on.
Yeah. Any comments from you, sir?
Nope, I don't have anything to add. Just grateful that I was able to be a part of it.
Yeah. And a working machine, a painter, up high, down low, everywhere. No. I forgot to say that we didn't just work. These trips, also an integral part of these trips is you get out in the community and you have fun and you meet people. We went to the beach on Sunday night for a nice dinner, and again I'm dancing on the beach, finding people to dance on the beach with and that sort of thing. But we had a good time out. Beautiful sunset. There's a picture over in the bottom right hand side. Nice picture board over here. A beautiful area, beautiful beach. We went and so very different looking than where we just drove out of, you know, that sort of thing. And then our last day, we always take to go to the colonial zone. Is not the Dominican Republic is the oldest?
The cathedral is the oldest cathedral in the New World.
Oldest cathedral in the New World. So we toured the cathedral. We had a nice meal. We went shopping.
Went to a local park.
Yeah.
Some caves that went through the caves.
Went through caves. Did that.
It was a nice day.
Yeah. My daughter Keely is a master jeweler, and so Larimar is a stone that's only found in the Dominican Republic. So she loaded up on rough cut Larimar so she could take back in fashion, you know, and do stuff like that. And a lot of people bought, you know, I bought some jewelry for Linda and stuff like that. And each one of us shopped and you know, did a variety of things.
Kept the local economy going. Good.
What?
Shopping locally,
yeah,
keep
yeah.
that economy.
It was good. And you get into a whole different world. You go down to the center of San Domingo.
Sure.
Most people who go to the Dominican Republic are Punta Cana or something, which is on further east.
Right.
And
Punta Cana is a totally different world.
It's
not
yeah.
San Domingo at all.
It's not Dominican Republic at all. You go there, it's beautiful beaches, and you're all in one type thing, and it's
groomed and clean and everything else.
oh yeah, everything is beautiful there, but not the Mora Center. You know, it's not like where we were, but we just. My overall impression, I was extremely grateful just to be there and to walk beside these people and to really just to try to blend in and help out in whatever way they needed. And we maybe have an opportunity to go back. That area certainly needs more help, and we have good relationship established. We've been there twice already, so that's something. But places like Honduras and things sound good too, where Bill is going and doing. But any more final comments? Yes.